Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And what I'm going to try and do throughout the entire month of October is what I'm calling Spooky Season Suggestions. And what this actually is me trying to get through a bunch of viewer requests for horror films throughout the month of October. So today's viewer request is for the 1995 film Evolver. Here is your trivia question for today. What is the name of the secret program that Kyle finds in Evolver? The answer will be at the end of this episode. In the film Evolver, we meet our main character of Kyle Baxter. So for the most part, Kyle is an average kid, although he is above average when it comes to his computer skills and hacking. Now Kyle is entered into a virtual reality game competition. So unfortunately, it's starting to look like he's not going to win that competition. So he uses his hacking skills to make sure that he does. So what he ends up winning is a robot called Evolver. This is something that is brought to his home and can actually play a game of laser tag essentially with him, his family, and his friends. Now Evolver is a highly advanced robot that was designed by Russell Bennett. And apparently each time it loses the game, it learns and adapts and becomes better at it. Now of course this doesn't just stay at being fun in games, as each time Evolver advances himself, his programming is now causing him to become deadlier and more dangerous. So with each person who plays now becoming his enemy, will he in fact terminate everyone? This movie was written and directed by Mark Rossman. Probably the most recognizable face in this movie is John Delancey. He plays Russell Bennett in this film, which by the way might be the most double-lettered name I've ever seen. More than likely, you know Delancey from playing the character of Q from Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Picard. The next actor, who actually might be just as recognizable to some people, is Ethan Embry, who at the time was known as Ethan Randall. He plays the main character of Kyle Baxter in this film, and even though he has been in quite a few movies and television series, you probably recognize him most from Empire Records and Can't Hardly Wait. Cassidy Ray plays Jamie Saunders in this film, and unfortunately she did not have as large of a career as Ethan Embry, but this movie was her feature film debut. Now here's something interesting that I wasn't aware of at first. Did you happen to know who did the voice of Evolver? It was actually William H. Macy. This entire movie was filmed in California. The body count for this film was 6. You had Dwight, who was hit with a ball bearing and knocked down the stairs, Tiny and Ace, who were both electrocuted, 2 mechanics that were rolled and tossed around in a van, and Russell Bennett, who was also rolled and tossed around and then set on fire. So when it comes to the film Evolver, this one's a fun, silly little horror movie to watch. And what's interesting is, when I went to rewatch this movie, I had completely forgotten that it was a horror movie and thought it was just kind of sci-fi-esque. So going into it, I definitely was a little surprised when things started going dark. If you haven't seen this film before, I do recommend checking it out. For me, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. If you did like Evolver, other movies I recommend watching are Deadly Friend, Chopping Mall, War Games, and How to Make a Monster. Now it's time to answer the trivia question from the beginning of this episode. What is the name of the secret program that Kyle finds in Evolver? The program is called SWORD, and it stands for Strategic War Oriented Robotic Device. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews, and if there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments.